Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Introduction to Exchequer Mobile, hosted by myself, James Tucker, and also Guy Burton from Advanced. This is being done in connection with HBP Systems. This afternoon, we are going to be having a discussion or introduction to Exchequer Mobile and discuss what is Exchequer Mobile, who it will help, leave you a little bit of food for thought, and then go through a demonstration and Q&A towards the end. So what is Exchequer Mobile? Hopefully you've got a little bit of an idea today, but before you've come in today, but it gives you access to your finance system anywhere, anytime, for all within your organisation. It's built with non-finance users in mind to ease the adoption for those organisations that have struggled to introduce the technology in the past. However, this still gives you the robust and powerful finance tool you're used to. It enables self-service for non-finance users, allowing the finance team to focus on finance tasks rather than having to deal with requests from outside of their team. It gives you remote access to Exchequer data, allowing you to log in and see your business data wherever you are, whenever you need it. With the use of remote reporting, we give you access to users to personalised reports, distributing management information is made even easier using this tool, and we just wanted to stress that today, because it's with the remote workers in the workplace nowadays, you need to be able to access things on the go at all times of day. We allow you to build a structured authorization workflow for your business, enabling your business to add transactions and expenses via the app, immediately improving your approval process and speeding that up. This can be done via the mobile app, desktop or web browser. So whether you're using an iPhone, Android or your desktop, users will be able to input and complete transactions. So who's this going to help? We've identified 4 key teams within a business that will help. That Exchequer Mobile will help them to improve their business transactions on a daily basis and improve the workflows that you guys have. So the 4 key personnel within the business that we will benefit from the use of Exchequer Mobile will either be, whether it be finance teams and improving their approval authorization workflows, allowing managing directors to be able to see live updates of stock or information and then project costings, or enabling your C-suite to push notifications and provide approvals, or giving your remote workers the ability to enter their transactions on the road. Exchequer Mobile is designed to improve the efficiency of your business. So just to leave you with a little bit of food for thought before we go into a demo from Guy. Imagine if you had an extra 15 minutes per day to be able to complete tasks. That gives you an extra 3.75 hours across finance per week, which equates to 24 working days per annum. Now, I think you'll agree that that is a significant time saving and will allow you to complete other projects that you're looking to be able to do within the business and speeds up the efficiency. So I'm now going to hand over to Guy, who is going to go through a live demonstration for you.
Thank you and welcome everyone. My name's Guy. I'll take you through this part of the presentation and we're going to take a look at Exchequer Mobile. If you do have any questions, there'll be a Q&A session at the end of this, so please feel free to use the On24 chat questions on the right hand side of your screen. But firstly, Exchequer Mobile is a multi-device system, so it's available on Android and iOS devices, so phones and tablets. There is also desktop versions, so available on PCs and laptops, connects to Exchequer over the internet, and there is also, finally, a web browser version of it as well, that allows information to be accessed over the web on any browser, on any device. And the three key areas that Exchequer Mobile has been designed to manage is information and access to information, e-procurement through Exchequer, and expenses. So the first area we'll take a look at is how those Exchequer Mobile users get access to information. So this is Exchequer Mobile running on a desktop, so the PC and laptop version. Users log in with their email address and passwords, presented with the Exchequer companies that they can get access to, and then the areas of Exchequer Mobile that they're allowed to, based on their user securities that we'll come on to later on, allowed to get access to. So this is customer or sales ledger information, so get access to static data and a live view of that sales ledger account. You can also interact with those documents, so from the sales ledger, so for example if you needed to send a copy invoice out or a copy credit note, they can be emailed directly from Exchequer Mobile, from again any device through to the end users or the customers requiring that information. So by clicking on the email button, it'll then open up my native email client on whatever device I'm on, attach the document as a PDF file and allow me to send it out to that particular customer in this case. And as you can see, I can also get access to the orders table, so do exactly the same for sales orders or purchase orders in the purchase ledger, and get access to the discounting matrix as well. I can also view notes that have been made in the back office or by other Exchequer Mobile users by going to the Notes tab, and view linked documents as well. So any document that's been attached to that sales ledger account gets accessible through Exchequer Mobile too. And then finally there's a notifications area. So if I need to send a message to another Exchequer Mobile user or to a user in the back office as well, I can make some notes and choose who I want to send that message through, and they'll all get associated and attached to that particular sales ledger account, viewable through Exchequer Mobile or through the back office in Exchequer. So moving on, we'll now take a look at Exchequer Mobile for the web, and this time we'll take a look at the purchase ledger information. So I'll log in with the same details. You'll see I'll get the same sort of menus. Let's take a look at supplier information. So I get to really see exactly the same sort of information as I could in the sales ledger. Get to view those accounts. There are filters, so you don't need to expose every purchase ledger account to those end users. You can filter and choose who you want to send it through to. There are external links, so if there are hyperlinks such as email addresses, phone numbers, they will all associate once you click on them with the postcode map, for example, or if in this case, if I click on the email address, it will open up my email client so I can send them an email from here as well. Access to their entire purchase ledger account, again with the ability to view outstanding transactions, the ability to search and filter those transactions, and the ability to drill down into any of those transactions as well. So we get an object drill view of all of the associated transactions and documents that Exchequer holds for that particular transaction, which would include attachments if we're scanning in and attaching those to the transactions in Exchequer that we'll take a look at later on. And the same information is available in the purchase order database should you have that. There is also access to the project tree, so you get access to jobs, and again these can be filtered. You can then view the analysis codes for each one of those jobs, together with the ability to drill down into those analysis codes and then see all of the transactions, whether it's timesheets or invoices or any transactions related to that, with that same object drill 360-degree view of that information. And there's also the stock database, so I get access to that stock database with the ability to drill down in real time and get access to things like stock location information, what's available, what's on order, what's free for that particular stock item. And finally, there's a reporting area. So Exchequer Mobile has the ability for the finance team to publish reports out to Exchequer Mobile. They are user specific, so I can decide which users got access to what reports, but again, viewable on any device in any of them. I also get access to my notifications in Exchequer Mobile as well. So these might be from other Exchequer Mobile users or from back office users, or anything that was part of the Exchequer procurement workflow now is available to me. I can drill down into those areas and again get an object drill, view attachments to those. We'll take a look at these in the next session. But it gives me the ability to approve, reject or delegate any of that information too. So now let's go and take a look at the e-procurement areas of Exchequer Mobile. So let's take a look at the different sorts of transactions that can be created in Exchequer Mobile. Not every transaction from Exchequer, but we can raise sales quotes or sales orders, purchase requisitions or purchase orders, Timesheets can also be raised in Exchequer Mobile and sent through for approval. And if you need to do expenses, again, on any device, those expenses can be completed and then sent through an approval process managed by Exchequer Mobile. Let's take a look at how we'd add a requisition in. So once I've clicked the plus sign to add a new requisition, I need to select a supplier. And again, these can be filtered lists of suppliers if you don't want people to access every supplier in the database. I can then add in the transaction lines. And for this, we recommend using product descriptions, even if you're not using the stock database, because it allows the finance team to define the product list, which means that things like cost centres, departments, GL codes can all be pre-coded. You've also got the ability to add UDF fields in there should you use them and make them mandatory. And once I've saved a line, what I can then do, add more lines obviously, delete lines should I need to, go back to it, save it, and come back and start something on my desktop, finish it off on my mobile. I can also add any notes and attachments that I might see fit to this particular requisition. So an attachment might be a quote from a supplier to go with the requisition, or it might be a copy of an Excel spreadsheet that I've used to calculate why I need this thing that I'm requiring or requisitioning. I can browse to whatever sort of document, whatever sort of attachment, and attach that to the quote. That will stay with it throughout its life, so it's visible in the back office in Exchequer as well. And then I can submit it for approval. So there are self-approval limits that we'll take a look at when we go through the admin section, but it will then give me a list of who within the authorization chain can approve that transaction based on their requirements and limits. And those notifications will be push notifications or email notifications too. So let's take a look at that same process now on a mobile device. So in this case, it's an Android device. So I want to enter a requisition. So again, I choose the supplier and then start entering the product details or the transaction line details that I require. And you'll see it's exactly the same concept, exactly the same process as doing it on the desktop as it is on the mobile. And again, I can mix and match, start something on the mobile, finish it off on the desktop and vice versa. Enter the product details, enter any additional information, enter quantities, pricing, line details that I need. UDF fields, if they're required as well, can also be completed on the device as you would expect, as well as being able to add attachments on the device as well, which would include taking photos as well. And then once I've completed that, I'd then send that off for approval. So it goes through exactly the same process for an approval process. It will then choose or find and select the approvers within the approval hierarchy that can approve that transaction. They will get notification via email. They'll also get push notifications out to their devices. They can then log into Exchequer Mobile on whatever device they're on and send that off for approval. So let's now take a look at approvals. So approvals can be made on any device, whether it's the web, whether it's the mobile app, whether it's the desktop version. I can choose the company that I've got the approvals and notifications to go into. I can then view my notifications from the workflow screen, and then it will show me all the approvals I've got to process, and I can drill into those, use object drill, click on the links to those particular attachments if I want to view any of those attachments, look at the history behind that particular approval, so who's approved it before me. So the idea behind Exchequer Mobile is to give those approvers all the information that they need to be able to approve that particular transaction, or not as the case may be. So there's the ability to reject or delegate as well. And this would include expenses that we'll take a look at later on. So if there were expenses for me to approve, I can also view the receipts and attachments that people have made to their expense claim forms. So all of those attachments, so those additional documents that are attached to those transactions, all of this, together with the notes and the history behind the approval process, are all attached to the transaction in the back office in Exchequer. So they're viewable by the back office finance team through Exchequer, and we'll take a look at that later on. And it gives me as an approver the ability to reject, delegate or approve those transactions. If I choose to reject, it will then ask me, or Exchequer Mobile will ask me why you're rejecting it, and it will send those comments back to the originator so they can amend accordingly. So if it's too much, or if I'm waiting for a credit note before we approve that purchase invoice, all that sort of information follows that workflow process. If I delegate a transaction, that means I'm too busy to look at it right now, so it will then find someone at my level or above who I can delegate this onto for onward approval. And finally, if I do want to approve it, I click on the green approve button, it'll ask for confirmation, and then it will turn that, in this case a requisition, dynamically, automatically into a purchase order, or it might be a purchase invoice that I'm approving for payment, for example. If I have a lot of notifications, you do have the ability to filter those notifications and sort those notifications too as well. And again, on any device. So this is obviously the web version. Let's go and take a look at the notifications on the desktop version. So again, same process, log in, click on the notifications button, and then I can view all the notifications that are outstanding. So once they're cleared, they will obviously go, with the ability to then accept, delegate, or reject those particular approvals. View the attachments that are related to those should I need to. And in this case, it's an Excel spreadsheet. So regardless of the type of transaction or the type of attachment that's attached to that particular transaction, it might be an email message, it might be a PDF, it might be an image or something visible on any device, providing that device can access that native document. And again, even on the, or as well as on the desktop, I can then reject, delegate, or approve that particular transaction with the same criteria. So if I reject something, it'll want to know why I'm rejecting it. If I delegate, I can put notes into why I'm delegating it. And I can also obviously approve transactions through here as well. All the while, any of that approval workflow will always be noted against that transaction and available through Exchequer Mobile, through the notes and history, but also through the notes and history in the back office in Exchequer. So the back office finance team get visibility to all of the audit trail in terms of how that transaction is processed through the workflow. So in addition to quotes, requisitions and orders, Exchequer Mobile also has a facility to allow end users to attach expense claims and get those approved. So an expense claim, let's take a look at it on an app to begin with. So I can choose from a pick list of expense categories that are predefined by the finance team. Associated with each are policies and limits that might apply to that particular category. If you're using job costing, you can choose job analysis and project information that needs to be attached to that particular expense line. And then once I've completed that, and choosing the categories and completed the categories, what I can also do is then attach the receipts that need to go with that expense claim as well. So expense claims can go on for as long as I want, so whatever expense claim, whether it's weekly, monthly, 2 weeks, you can build up an expense claim over time, start an expense claim on your desktop, finish it off on your phone and keep on doing that, and vice versa. Attach the receipts. If I'm on my mobile device, I can obviously attach photos to it as well, so I can choose to take pictures of the receipts and expense claims that need to go through. And all of those receipts and attachments will all be visible in the back office in Exchequer. Again, we'll go and take a look at that in a minute. And once completed, I can obviously send that off for approval as well through the same sort of approval mechanisms as we saw earlier on. Let's take a look at expenses on the desktop, just for completeness again. So go to the expenses tab, click on the plus button. I can then choose, again, exactly the same sort of information. And as I mentioned, you can do expense claims between devices as well. So any claim periods that are required, and then I can choose the categories or add to the categories that are required. The finance team can choose the relevant categories, and again, those can be filtered out so only users get to see the categories relevant to them in their role. We also include the ability to do mileage checks on the desktop, so I can go out to, and we check against Google Maps. So if I put in the postcodes from and to, it will then come up with the suggested routes. I can then choose that information, I'll choose the appropriate route and attach the mileage information. It will also attach as an attachment to that expense claim a copy of the map and details about that from Google as well, which is quite handy. Expense lines can also be attached to projects with project analysis codes, and there is an unlimited amount of notes that you can also put against a particular expense claim as well. So if I now wanted to add something on the desktop through to this particular claim, I can click on the add button and then choose, give it a description, and then go and browse. And what Exchequer Mobile will do is it will copy the attachments from the device, whatever device that I'm on, up back onto the Exchequer server as well, so they're viewable through the approvers and also through the back office team within Exchequer that we'll take a look at shortly. Approvals through expenses there can be separate approval routes, so this doesn't necessarily have to match the approvals that I require for purchase requisitions, for example, or sales quotes. So there is a different expense claim approval line as well. So far we've taken a look at approvals that originated on the devices within Exchequer Mobile. Now let's take a look at how, and for example in this case, how a purchase invoice that's entered in the back office in Exchequer would be sent out to Exchequer Mobile for approval. So in terms of getting the information, the purchase invoice onto Exchequer, viewable within Exchequer itself, within the daybooks, you now get the approval status. But if I want to add in an invoice, that carries on in exactly the same manner in which we currently enter purchase invoices in. So choose a supplier, add in the line details. And in this case, because I want to send it out for approval, I'm also going to attach through the links button over on the right hand side of that screen a link to the copy of the invoice that has been sent through to the finance team. So this obviously allows those approvers who are then through Exchequer Mobile going to approve this particular purchase invoice the ability to access the copy of the invoice plus any other attachments I might have made to that particular transaction as well. So if it's an email attachment or if it's an Excel spreadsheet to justify this particular invoice or some additional information I might need about a credit note, for example, I can then click on the approval button from within Exchequer. It will then show me the people within the authorization workflow that can approve that transaction. I can then add some notes through into that particular transaction notification and send it out for approval. There is also, for completeness, through the back office in Exchequer, an approval column now, so you can actually see the status within Exchequer Mobile of that particular transaction in any of the daybook screens. So that's handy for the back office team to find out where things are within that approval workflow. And there are also tolerance levels that you can check based on values or percentages to make sure that only things that are required for approval without alteration get pushed through to the purchase ledger through for payment. And that's designed to give the finance team full oversight of all the transactions. So whether or not the transactions are created on Exchequer Mobile, they're all within Exchequer itself or created within Exchequer itself. So the finance team get full oversight and authority to adjust, amend or correct any of those transactions before they get posted through to the nominal ledger. So if we have a look at the administration side of Exchequer Mobile, so this is where you set up your users of mobile and they can be independent to the users within Exchequer. So you can have as many Exchequer Mobile users as you require within the organisation. And within the user rights is the areas and user settings of what type of transactions, for example, I want that user to be able to process. So if I don't want them to be able to process requisitions, I can turn that off. You can do that for all the different transaction types through to timesheets and expenses. Limits and approvals are added in here as well, and this is also where I set up the workflow, so the different approval chains and approval mechanisms that I've got for those particular transaction types. There's also out of office and delegation areas in here as well, so if you've got someone off sick, administrators can come in and push through to different approval routes. There's the ability to enter search facilities in here and filters, and the various different sort of settings I've got on transactions, together with lookup. So if I only want you to be able to see these particular expense type categories, I can choose to coordinate those so that only those users within that category can see those expense types. There's company settings. Company settings are, again, the different sorts of transactions that are available for that particular company within Exchequer. So if you've got different companies with different requirements, together with the transaction limits and the reports that are going to be made available for that company and also for that set of users. So different users might see different sets of reports, and these reports aren't running real time. These are reports that the finance team have published out to those Exchequer Mobile users. Within company filters, I can filter what projects, what jobs, what information is available to that user or set of users. And for the expense categories, this is where I define the information I want to prompt the inputter when they're using that particular category. And this also defines cost centres, departments, GL codes, VAT rates, that type of thing on that particular expense category. As many expense categories as you want, and again, they can be filtered down for the users. So that concludes the presentation for today in terms of showing you Exchequer Mobile and how it works. If you need any further information, please contact your account manager. We're going to follow this with a Q&A session anyway, so if you've got any questions, just use the chat window on the side of the screen, and we'll go through those in a second.
Great, thanks, Guy. So just before we move on to the Q&A, probably all wondering what the price point is for Exchequer Mobile. So I'm just going to go through with you how it's structured, and then you can see how it fits into you into your business in terms of transactions and how it's price modeled. So as you can see here, we've got 4 tiers. Now the tiers are not based on how many users you have. You'll probably see from going along in each tier that it is the only difference is how many transactions that you use per year. So our first tier is just the standard mobile, set at £50 per month, and that has no transactions. So this is purely based on being able to view reports. Again, there's no user limit on this, but there's no transactions involved with that. And then as we move up through Exchequer Mobile Plus, we have it priced at £175 per month, and that gives you 3,000 transactions per annum. And then Mobile Premium, again, the only difference being 12,000 transactions per annum, and that's priced at £550 per month. And then Unlimited, which gives you unlimited transactions, and that is price on application. Now, if you have any further questions about pricing or anything like that, then as Guy has mentioned already, please reach out to your HPP Systems account manager and they will be able to talk you through it. So just to round everything up now, if we just open up to you guys and see if there's any questions out there. Again, thank you for your time. Appreciate everybody's busy schedules. And if you've got any questions, then please leave them in the chat and we will answer them for you.
So we've had a couple of questions come through.
Yeah.
First one, how does it connect to Exchequer? That's a good question. So if I didn't mention it earlier, it basically connects to Exchequer over the internet. So if you're on your phone or tablet, if they've got a 3G signal or above, or if you're connected to any Wi-Fi, and the same on desktops and PCs as well. So as long as you've got an internet connection, you can get through to Exchequer, or Exchequer Mobile can communicate to the back office Exchequer system. It does so using the HTTPS secure port that connects to the back office. So that's how the information gets from Exchequer to the devices and from the devices through to Exchequer. Next question was, how do updates work with Exchequer Mobile? So unlike the main Exchequer updates, obviously the large updates to the back office system, we do regular updates probably once every maybe 4 to 6 weeks, usually for the apps. They just get pushed out to the devices through, obviously on iOS and Android, it go out through the Apple Store or through Google Play. So you're just like any other application you've got on your phones or tablets. They just get updated with your regular updates. And the desktop version, when you log in, if there's an update, we push the updates out from a central server out to the clients. So when you log into the app on your desktops, it will tell you there's an update ready. You just click a button, basically, it downloads the update and then it logs you in. Will it work on a Mac? Yeah, well, the browser-only version. So the apps, we don't have a Mac version of the app, but the browser version that we took a look at through the video, through the webinar, that will allow you to do your authorizations, view, look at reports, all that sort of stuff. So that's available on anything that can run a browser, basically. A good question. What is classed as a transaction? So as James mentioned, so the pricing on Exchequer Mobile is based on volume of transactions, number of transactions, and a transaction. It's not your entire transactions that go through Exchequer, it's the transactions that are either created in Exchequer Mobile or transactions that are sent from the back office in Exchequer out through to Exchequer Mobile for approval or authorization. And so that's what's classed as a transaction. So your generic, for example, if you weren't putting any sales transactions in through Exchequer Mobile or for approval in Exchequer Mobile, then none of those are classed as a transaction. So it's only transactions that are either created in Exchequer Mobile or sent out from Exchequer through to mobile for authorization. And a purchase requisition through to a purchase order through to a purchase invoice, even if all of those happened in Exchequer Mobile, that all gets classed as just one transaction. Hope that makes sense. I've got any more questions? No, I think that's all the questions I've got that have come through. If there are any more, feel free to contact the team at HPP. They should be able to answer any of your questions as well. There are some, as a collateral, there's some downloads available through the download window on 24 as well, if you wanted to take some collateral away with you. And there'll also be, if you look out, we'll be sending an email out later on this afternoon, probably by the end of play today. So if you did if you wanted to watch this all again, or if you wanted to, more importantly, share with a colleague, and they can watch it on demand, basically. So if you watch out for an email, that'll be sent out through to you as well later on. Apart from that, I'll just check that I've got no further questions. Have you got any more questions come through, James?
I haven't got any now, so no. I think
okay.
If we wrap it up there, thanks very much for your time, everybody. And we will send the link out with the video very shortly. And that is everything. Great stuff.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for your time. So we'll see you next time.